Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So for today's case I'm going to be talking to you about is the murder of Jessica Lunsford. So Jessica Marie Lunsford was born on October the 6th, 1995, and she had been then murdered on February 27th, 2005. She was an American 9-year-old girl from Homosassa in Florida who was murdered in February 2005. Lunsford was abducted from her home in early morning of February 24th, 2005, and this was by John Cooey, a 46-year-old convicted sex offender who had lived nearby. Cooey held her captive over the weekend, during which she was raped and later murdered by being buried alive. The media extensively covered the investigation and the trial of Cooey. Jessica Lunsford's murder influenced the introduction of the legislation in Florida known as Jessica's Law, designed to protect potential victims and reduce a sexual offender's ability to reoffend, which has since influenced similar legislation in 42 other states. On August 24th, 2007, a judge in Inverness, Florida, convicted Cooey for the kidnapping, sexual battery, and first-degree murder of Lunsford and was sentenced him to death. However, Cooey died of natural causes in 2009, and this was before his sentence could be carried out. 9-year-old Jessica Lunsford disappeared in the night on February 24th, 2005 from her home in Homosassa in Florida. After approximately 3 weeks of intense searching for her around the area of her home. John Evander Cooey was arrested in Savannah in Georgia for an outstanding warrant of cannabis possession, but was released after questioning because it was only a local warrant. Cooey was a 46-year-old long-time resident of Homosassa with an extensive criminal record listing dozens of arrests for burglary and was convicted child sex offender. Due to the laws at the time, Cooey received only short sentences and was not monitored after the release. Despite his record of being an experienced trespasser and his repeated sexual offences against children. On March 12th, Cooey was arrested in Augusta in Georgia at the request of a Citrus County Sheriff's Office for questioning about Jessica Lunsford's disappearance. Due to his residence on West Snowbird Court in Homosassa, only 65 yards from Lunsford's home, and his criminal record, Cooey stated that he did not have anything to do with the 9-year-old's disappearance and had moved to Georgia to find a new job. Only knowing about it from television news, he was released from police custody after being interviewed. On March 14th, Cooey's half-sister Dorothy Dixon gave permission to the police to search her trailer at West Snowbird Court in Homosassa. Cooey had then lived at the West Snowbird Court residence with Dixon, her boyfriend Matt Dittrich, her daughter and son-in-law, Maddie and Jean Secord, and her 2-year-old grandson Joshua. During the search, a blood-stained mattress and pillows were found in Cooey's closet in his room, and forensic analysis discovered both Cooey's and Lunsford's DNA on the mattress. March 17th, Cooey was arrested and charged with the murder of Jessica Lunsford, transported to the Citrus County Jail in Florida. On March 18th, 2005, Cooey made an audio-recorded and videotaped confession that have kidnapped and raped and murdered Lunsford. In his confession, Cooey said that he had previously seen Lunsford playing in her yard and thought she was about 6 years old. On the night of the abduction, Cooey had intended to just burglarize the Lunsford's home, but saw Jessica and acted on impulse, and he just took her. He entered Lunsford's house at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Through an unlocked door, awakening the Lunsfords, told her, "Don't yell or anything," and told her to follow him out of the house. At that time, he occupied a trailer along with 2 women about 100 yards, which is 91 miles. or meters, sorry, away. Cooey admitted to raping Lunsford in his bedroom, keeping her in his bed that evening and raping her again in the morning. Cooey had then put her in his closet. He ordered her to remain there as he reported for work at Billy's truck lot, which she did. 3 days after he abducted her, Cooey tricked Jessica into getting into 2 garbage bags by saying that he was going to take her home, but he instead buried her alive as he decided he could do nothing else with the girl. 19th of March, police found 9-year-old Jessica Lunsford's body at a residence on West Snowbird Court in Homosassa, buried in a plastic bag in a hole approximately 2.5 feet, which is 0.76 meters deep, and 2 feet, 0.61 meters circular, covered with leaves. Lunsford's body was removed from the ground and transported to the coroner's office, where it had been recorded to have undergone moderate to severe decomposition. According to the publicly released autopsy reports, Lunsford had poked 2 fingers through the bags before suffocating to death, and the fingers had then skeletonized. The coroner ruled that death had been happened even in the best circumstances within 2 to 3 minutes from lack of oxygen. After the discovery of Lunsford's body at the residence, Dixon then stated that a week earlier she had given Cooey money for a bus ticket and then had telephoned her to say that he had moved to Savannah in Georgia. Additionally, Dixon and the other residents of the trailer claimed to have never seen Lunsford at the home and had never seen anything strange in Cooey's room, which had not been used since he had last been there. June 30th, 2006, a judge ruled that Cooey's confession was inadmissible in court because when it was recorded, police had not granted Cooey's request for a lawyer, thereby rendering the confession invalid and unreliable. Under the Fifth and Sixth Amendments of the United States of the Constitution, over Cooey's obligation, the trial court ruled that all evidence collected after the confession, including the recovery of Lunsford's body, would be admitted, as would incriminating statements allegedly made by Cooey to investigators and a jail guard. Then, the trial was moved to Miami after officials were unable to seat an impartial jury in Citrus County, where the trial had first been scheduled to be held. 7th of March 2007, Cooey was found guilty of all charges in relation to Lunsford's death, including first-degree murder, kidnapping, burglary with assault or battery upon a person, and capital sexual battery. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, tasked with recommending either life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty, the only 2 possible sentences available under the Florida law. A week later, after about 1 hour and 15 minutes of deliberation, a jury recommended Cooey to be put to death. But the case had been appealed to the Florida Supreme Court. On August 11th, 2007, a jury then overseeing the Lunsford's case voted 10-2 that Cooey be eligible for the death sentence. Defense for Cooey argued that he had suffered from a lifetime of emotional abuse and had below the normal IQ, which would enable him to avoid a death sentence under the 2002 Supreme Court ruling prohibiting the execution of mentally handicapped people. However, the most credible intelligence test rated Cooey's IQ at 78, above the standard accepted level of intellectual disability, which is 70. On August 24th, 2007, Cooey was sentenced to death in addition to 3 consecutive life sentences. However, on the 30th of September 2009, before the sentences could be carried out, Cooey died of natural causes. Following her death, her father, Mark Lunsford, pursued a new legislation to provide more stringent tracking of released sex offenders. The Jessica Lunsford Act was named after her. It requires tighter restrictions on all sex offenders, such as wearing electronic tracking devices. a increased prison sentencing for some convicted sex offenders. Jessica's Law refers to similar reform acts initiated by other states. On February 19th, 2008, almost 3 years to the day after a kidnapping and murder, Jessica's father had been represented by Jacksonville, Florida lawyers in a pre-trial brief that had filed against the Citrus County Sheriff's Office and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. After receiving notice of the pending suit, Citrus County Sheriff Jeff Dorsey stated that he believed the case to be baseless. There is only one person in the world that should be held responsible for Jessica Lunsford's death, and that is John Couey. Following complaints and suggestions from Citrus County residents that the pending litigation was being pursued out of greed and that had been a better father, his child may still be alive, Mark Lunsford and Jacksonville-based attorneys Eric Block and Mark Gelman held a news conference in Jacksonville, where it was stating that the pending litigation was not for the money but for change. Lunsford stated that changes were needed in procedures and policies. It is alleged that Couey had Jessica Lunsford alive in the trailer while Citrus County officials visited this trailer. Police dogs indicated Jessica was being held in a direction of the trailer and was ignored. That Citrus County officials actively pursued Mark Lunsford's father as their prime suspect, while evidence then pointed elsewhere, and that had Citrus County officials followed up on the outstanding warrant issued by Georgia. The Citrus County officials could have entered Couey's residence and could possibly have saved the child. Mark Lunsford, becoming an activist for children's rights after the murder of his daughter Jessica, is the subject of the 2011 documentary film Jessie's Dad. The abduction of Jessica Lunsford was covered in 2013 on TV series FBI Criminal Pursuit in the episode of Lurking Menace. Okay then everyone, so that is the murder of Jessica Lunsford. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.